Hi, I'm Doreen Schwegler, Naturopath and Medical Scientist. People ask me why I would be interested in suggesting they have a genetic profile, and there's quite a few reasons. I got into it several years ago as an early adopter because my mum had breast cancer, my auntie had breast cancer, and my father died of cardiovascular complications. So I was interested in finding out things that I could do preventatively. And not wait till I have a mammogram or a heart attack to take action. So the main test that I recommend is by Fit Genes. It's called a Health and Wellbeing Panel, and it divides 64 genes into 6 big categories. Genes that relate to inflammation, which if you look at inflammation, it's a major driver of all sorts of things from heart disease to cardiovascular problems to dementia to autoimmune conditions, weight gain, etc. And when you're looking at the genes, there's basically three colored dots. A green dot means that there's usually beneficial gene inherited from both parents. An orange dot is like an orange traffic light, so one good gene, one variant, shall we say. And a red dot means the most support or the least beneficial, where you get one not so good gene from both parents. And the good thing about the genes that they test is you can upregulate those genes, the good ones, and downregulate the bad ones and switch them off in effect with lifestyle, nutrients, and supplements. So as I said, inflammation's number one. That's the first big category. Then there's genes that relate to oxidative stress and cellular detoxification. So they're genes that show how you process free radicals and oxidants in your environment. That can be from cigarette smoke and pollution to estrogen, detrimental estrogen with hormonal problems. And the third one is vitamin D metabolism. So some people may be out in the sun without sunscreen and still have low vitamin D because of their genes that mean that they need higher doses of vitamin D, or a supplement that can upregulate their gene expression or make that gene work better, like broccoli sprout. Then there's genes that relate to, complicated sounds like methylation if you've never heard of it. If you're one of my clients, you've probably heard me bang on about homocysteine, but that can be an important risk factor for heart disease and fertility issues, miscarriage, dementias and things. So having a healthy homocysteine level is important for good health, not too low, not a bit of a Goldilocks, not too high, not too low. But you want the genes that can code for B6, folate, B12, metabolism can influence homocysteine. So if you have an elevated homocysteine, you can look at the genes and work out why, and then use appropriate supplementation to address it. Then there's the category of weight management. So some genes relate to portion control, some fat sensitivity, some relate, there's a FTO gene called the fatso gene, and that doesn't mean that you are destined to be overweight, but it means that you've got more of a, when you do lose 100 grams in a week where your partner might lose half a kilo, you need to celebrate that win so you can be a bit more easy on yourself and a bit more targeted with what sort of eating plan would suit you. And then there's genes that relate to cholesterol and fat metabolism. So that's the main panel called the Health and Wellbeing Panel. That's around for high 400s, under $500. And the other one I use a lot is called the Food Choice Panel, and that gives you the gene for celiac sensitivity, well, predisposition to celiac, gene that relates to lactose intolerance, genes for histamine intolerance and caffeine sensitivity and salt sensitivity, and a few others. So that one is useful, and that's I think around $150. And then there's a gene called the carb choice gene. And we all have copy numbers which relate to how we process amylase, which reflects how we can tolerate carbohydrates. So I've got a very low copy number, which means I don't do well on a lot of carbohydrates, and I need to watch that in my eating plan and use lighter carbs and have little tricks like having lemon juice before I eat or before I have a glass of wine. So there's lots of useful things that can be gleaned from the genetic profile. So they're not genes that say you're going to get breast cancer, genes that perhaps say you're prone to inflammation or you're not clearing toxins like estrogen and stuff effectively, and we can make those genes work better to reduce your risk of, say, hormone-dependent cancers. It's useful in weight management, so I can really tailor programs. I did a little pilot study on 20 clients, so 10 that did genetic profiling and 10 that didn't, and the ones that knew more about their individualized health did better. And then one of the ladies who didn't have the profile that went on to do the profile actually had a really good result and much more success. So it can help with weight management. It can help with being proactive about your health. I have a lot of women my age and even older that just want to, and men, of course, that want to be age as healthily as possible, because it's not just about living longer, it's about living well longer. And what genetic profiling does is really personalize your healthcare program. So if you'd like any more information, just click on the link or email me, Doreen at holistichealth.com.au. That's HOLISTIC health.com.au. Nice chatting.